I thought we played extremely well all three games. I thought the theme all weekend was starting pitching. Into the seventh, Coop finishes it, and then we go, I think, into the seventh again, maybe, or through six, and David Christie finishes it. Use six arms all told, and then get a great start out of Nezu, who's in the seventh, and Fluno comes in and finishes that one. And so did enough offensively. We were able to lengthen the field some this week and use the power of the long ball. Thought Rocco showed signs of really coming on. Max Marshak continues to improve, and Ben Robichaud kind of continues to do his thing. So we've got guys stepping up. Big John Taylor in the absence of Debo, and it's kind of been Zambo, Lejeune. CJ had a tremendous series this past weekend. So it was good to see. It was great team baseball. Anytime you get a sweep, especially on the road, it covers up a lot of stuff. And so I feel a little bit better about the App State series after doing what we did this past weekend.
Obviously, you're going to be playing some teams higher up in the standings, but was that kind of like the template of how y'all need to play moving forward?
That was just good baseball. You know, we've been working to play just good, nasty Cajun baseball, and I'd say the first game was pretty good. Second game got better, and the third game, that's how I'd like to start them. You know, we Shock leads off with a triple straight away. Roby jumps ship a couple of pitches later, and then Rock fights off to get a good two-strike pitch where he's able to go down and get it and flip it out of the ballpark down the line. We're up 3-0, and it kind of took their breath away a little bit, and followed that up with some rock solid pitching, really good defense. I think we're fielding close to 980 on the year now. I think we're at 978. So we're hitting several goals that we had before the season started. Wanted to field 980. We're right there. 400 on base. We're right there. Our walk totals are way up from a year ago, and I think we're plus 53 right now on freebies, which, to remind you, we finished the year minus 32 last year. So I think we can still take another step, and we're in the midst of doing that right now as a team. And when we hit it, it's going to be a lot of fun.
What's it like playing these out of conference or these conference games against teams that you haven't faced before?
It's a little bit weird. It's a little bit different. I like playing teams that I know what I'm going to get, and I'd never met their coach before. Obviously, has a great background, and after seeing them work for a day or so, settled in, and I thought, you know what, they're doing it the right way, and they were a worthy opponent and played hard. But that's a great question. It can be a little bit different.
So that's kind of scary and exciting.
Yeah, it is. Anything you don't know is going to cause a little bit of trepidation or anxiety, and I'm no different. I like to know what we're going to get.
You said that this team is ready to make another step. What is that next step, do you feel, in your opinion?
I don't know. I can't scratch that itch quite yet. It's a great question. I think it's just kind of a sum of every part, just a little more polished. And, I think when we see it, we're going to know. And I think that first inning was a good sign of it the other day on Sunday.
Your guys are used to playing in front of people. They draw energy from that. Is it difficult to go out in the situation? I know that they have some issues beyond their control, but is it difficult to go out when there's just nobody there?
Not if you love the game. And fortunately, for the past 2 years, I've had a clubhouse full of kids that love to play. And they'll play in the parking lot. They'll play at Huntington High School. They'll play at Georgia State. It doesn't matter. But you're exactly right. That can affect a lot of people. But this team is just a little bit uncommon that way, that they just love to compete and play.
New Honda inventory now at Barker Honda.
Well, they're here, and the lot's filling up fast.
And we have more coming in every day at Barker.
On your cars, HRVs, CRVs, and Civics.
We have Pilots, Passports, and Odysseys now in stock. So come on by to Barker Honda and take advantage of our amazing deals, and you'll see why.
It's better at Barker.
BCG Services, local experts for concrete leveling and foundation repair, providing quality solutions for a variety of foundation issues. With years of experience applying Floor Shield products to both homes and businesses, you can trust our team to provide high-quality results. Call for a free consultation.
My extracurricular activities at Terrebonne are powerlifting and cheerleading, and also I'm involved in many clubs such as National Honor Society, Student Council, Campus for Christ, and National Society of High School Scholars.
The new 2023 GMC Sierra AT4X is equipped to conquer the great outdoors. Or the great indoors. Welcome to the peak of premium off-roading. Or get 2.9% APR for 5 years and no monthly payments for 90 days on turbo high-output engine Sierra light-duty elevation crew cab models.
Here in South Louisiana, we know how important it is to protect our families.
When one of our neighbors is injured because of someone else's neglect, our team is compelled to use our experience, skills, and knowledge to seek justice and hold wrongdoers accountable. If you've been injured and want to know your rights, call St. Martin and Bourke today.
Hi, I'm Councilwoman Jessica Domingue, and today we're going to talk about school zone safety.
Drivers are required to yield to pedestrians in a crosswalk. Always stop when someone is in the road and wait for them to cross completely before proceeding. Follow the speed limit and always stop when school buses are picking up and dropping off students.
Keeping students safe is a community responsibility, so let's all do our part.
Whether it's your home or your business, buy if you're specialized in disinfection application.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. We're joined with the Houma Police Department's Chief of Police, Mr. Travis Terrio is here. We're going to talk about a few things, but we're starting off with a troubling incident that happened in East Houma where they had a shooting today.
Right. Well, it was actually yesterday.
Yes.
So around 12 o'clock noon, we received the reports of some gunshots that were fired in the area of Raymond Street. So our units responded to the 100 block. And when they arrived, they located a 28-year-old victim suffering from a gunshot wound to the upper body, to his back. And Katy ambulance, they responded and they treated him and transported him via ambulance to a local medical facility. As of yesterday afternoon, our investigators learned that he was in stable condition. He's going to survive the injuries. And with the investigation revealed that as he was pulling up, the suspect pulled alongside of him and just started shooting at him before he could even put the car in park, pretty much. And took off running, and as a result, he was injured. And like we said, he's been treated. But the investigation also revealed that the suspect was driving a Nissan Rogue, light in color, and fled in an unknown direction. So really, that's all we have to go on right now, and they're working the case the best they can to try and resolve it. But if we have anyone with information, if they can contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-743-7433, that would be greatly appreciated. Or if they want, they can call the police department and at 985-873-6371.
And when you have some at noon, when you have some, that seems a little different at broad daylight like that.
Yeah, it is abnormal to have them in the middle of the day like that, especially on a weekday. Sometimes you'll see them on a weekend when everybody's out and home, but middle of the week like that, or Monday, noon, yeah, it's odd.
So there crime cameras or any kind of traffic cameras where you can maybe see the car going through and get a license plate?
Well, we have things that we can do and review, but and our detectives are working all that, and hopefully it'll bring forward some type of information.
You don't know if it's their car.
Right, that's right.
That kind of stuff. So, yeah, something to look forward to. So, yeah, if you have any information, make sure to give HPD a call. It is spring break, so it's a different time for us this year. Kids are out of school. So, a couple of different things. Obviously, you want to be safety, you want to worry about kids when you're driving around that might not be in school at this time. The other thing is car burglaries at night tend to go up, and maybe not the same kids are doing it, but maybe the little older kids are staying out a little later at night.
Well, the obvious thing, the kids are staying out later at night. They're having a good time. We're not naive. We know that, high school kids are, they tend to drink, and we don't condone it, but we definitely don't want anybody drinking and driving, during this holiday season. And, if at all possible, just avoid it. Do not drink and drive. And if you're going out of town, let's make sure everything is secure. If you want to let a neighbor know, if there's somebody you can trust, family member know, let them know you're headed out of town. And, just be on guard the best you can. And if you are traveling, and a lot of people travel with firearms and things like that, make sure they're secured wherever you're at. Always at all times, home, away, wherever. Make sure your firearms are secured and your vehicles are locked.
Right. Because that's a big part of it. A lot of times people leave their gun or whatever in their vehicle, and then they're not locked, or they go by and check the door, and then that's how the guns end up sometimes in the wrong hands.
Right. And look, a lot of times it's unintentional, and you go over there. No, I lock my car every night. Well, obviously it probably wasn't locked that night, and it's just being responsible, because majority of the time that's how the guns are getting on the street. It's through vehicle burglaries. I remember a few years back, it was astonishing the amount of firearms that were hitting the street just from car burglaries.
Oh yeah, because look, anytime anybody goes to New Orleans, that was kind of end up being a joke in New Orleans. A lot of the rural areas have these big trucks, and they drive into a Saints game or a Pelicans game, and the first thing they look for is trucks, because they know it's usually a guy that might have a gun underneath the seat.
Yeah. And
can't bring it into the dome,
You can't bring it into the dome, so it stays on the seat. So, a lot of times
are targets.
Yeah, you need to think ahead. You have to think ahead and think of what you're going to do with it. But, on a lighter note, we had some beautiful weather on the weekend, and I was riding around and seeing a lot of people enjoying time with their family.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think it's all about this time of year.
So the other thing we need to worry about, and seems like we always have to worry about, is the overdoses. And, we live in a small town. We think, oh, that's just in big cities. But fentanyl and those kind of drugs find their way into our communities as well.
Pretty much on a daily basis, that's what your first responders at somewhere in Terrebonne Parish are dealing with, whether it's medical, fire department, or police. Somebody's dealing with an overdose every day somewhere in our parish. And it doesn't matter what family you come from. There's a chance that somebody in your family could be hooked on this stuff, and just be mindful and try and help them. Get off of it, because this stuff's dangerous.
Oh, and eventually, you got to pull the wrong, the wrong thing and the wrong dose or whatever. And a lot of times now, just going for a Valium or those kind of drugs, Xanax, can be laced with those drugs. So somebody who's not used to that can get their hands on that accidentally too.
Absolutely, yeah. And we just want to try and help people the best we can. So if you think you have a family member that needs help, make some phone calls and see what you
do. You guys always travel with Narcan? Is that part of what y'all do now?
As much as possible, yeah, at times. I mean, look, we've gotten so busy with it, we've ran out, and then we had to restock.
Right.
So.
All right, Travis, well, thanks so much for the update. We appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back with more Bayou Time right after this.
I am a professional firefighter. Because of the line of work I'm in, there's a much higher risk to develop cancer. You're looking for a place that is going to support you in the manner that you need. Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center is a place that you would want to come. I had to be positive to show everybody else that it was okay to be positive. They supported my mission to live a long, healthy, cancer-free life.
Selecting an insurance provider for your business is a big decision.
With over 26 years of experience, our offered team is your solution for quality and proven coverage.
The customer service you remember from years ago is what we pride our team on.
We know how important your company is to the community.
From small businesses to large businesses, Alford & Associates can manage your insurance. It's our job.
Alford & Associates, benefiting your employees and protecting your business.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. That's what we call revolution, and the revolution is closer than you think. Welcome to Rev.
Led by a 7-member commission, the Terrebonne Port was created to assist our local industry in promoting economic development. We monitor government regulations that affect our local industry and work with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to secure maintenance dredging funds. Because the HNC is the main artery for the heartbeat of Terrebonne's economy, Terrebonne Port fights a constant battle for funding to maintain the federally authorized navigable depth. We are now leasing waterfront and non-waterfront property. Terrebonne Port Commission, serving our industry to keep Terrebonne thriving.
Everybody, welcome into Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. We thought we'd spend a little time with Ross Brennan, of course, Louisiana State Trooper, PIO, Public Information Officer, and talk about, some recognition for some of the Troop C troopers. Mm-hmm. And we appreciate it, and we'll spend a couple segments here. We'll talk about trucks and all that in the second segment. But let's talk about the awards, and you're talking about an ACE, which is Aggressive Criminal Enforcement, which is a big award, and I say for an area that probably doesn't have as much crime as some other areas, it's big and rare when a Troop C is a recipient of that.
Yeah, so we recently had a trooper first class, Tyler Laish. He was a recipient of this award. And so in order to be a recipient, what it is, the requirements is you have to find and locate 5 stolen vehicles and also arrest those drivers within a 12-month period. So as soon as your first arrest happens, then you have that 12 months to be able to get together for. And as you said, it is kind of rare to have in our area. A lot of these stolen vehicles, if they do occur in our Troop C area, they might be going to New Orleans area or out of Troop C. So I think at the moment we have 3 currently who are ACE plate recipients at Troop C. But it's very, very prestigious. It's very hard for them to be able to get that. And when they do get them, we would like to recognize them.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, Trooper First Class Tyler Laish, or Lachey, but Laish is how he pronounces. Lachey is also, I've seen that, I guess depending on where you're at in Louisiana. But good job by him. And we talked about the area, and look, stolen vehicles, particularly in the New Orleans, Baton Rouge area, has become almost pandemic-like. Is that not the case in more rural areas where we don't have as many of those? And is it a problem in our area?
They do happen in our area, yes, sir. They do happen. Those ones that he did recover, they happened in our area. It was anything from cars, trucks, motorcycles, even a dump truck that he was able to recover. So they do happen in our area, but like I said earlier, they do kind of go out of our, like towards New Orleans area, things like that. And whether they go into like chop shops or they're involved in other crimes, unfortunately, is kind of what happens a lot of times with stolen vehicles. But what we do with this is kind of as an incentive for the troopers kind of go a little bit above and beyond and get a little bit more recognition than just a job well done and be able to get that plate. And so if you actually, you can see a trooper if he has an ACE plate, one, by having that plate on the front, but we also give him these stickers, shape of Louisiana with a lightning bolt with ACE. And so each one of those stickers represents those 5 vehicles. So if you see a trooper with that inside the car, that means that they're an ACE. Now we have an even more special award for a trooper that acquires 25 stolen vehicles with apprehensions within a year. And it's extremely rare to have them, but we do. And it's a privilege to be able to get that award for sure, in addition to the regular ACE plates.
So when you're talking about stolen vehicles and finding them now, we have license plate recognition. You guys are on the highways a lot of times.
Yeah.
So how would you find a stolen vehicle? You see license plates, or are you just on the lookout for certain things?
So with technology such as license plate readers, those definitely help out. If they do pass one, local law enforcement will get an alert that it's a stolen vehicle, and then we start to kind of head towards that direction, be able to locate that vehicle. Sometimes it's just traffic stops. So you stop a vehicle and you start doing some paperwork, looking into the information. You find out it was stolen maybe from another state or Louisiana. So technology has helped out a lot with it, but it also does take proactive police work to be able to find them too.
And not to give away, I don't know if I'm giving away any. Can you do that? When the cars are driving each way, will it point, or do you have to be behind a vehicle to do the license plate? How does that work?
So they have stationary cameras throughout all of Troop C area that are able to find,
stationary. So it's not just in a trooper's car.
No. Now there are some mobile ones that are on top of police vehicles that as you're driving along, they can detect that. But we don't have anything like that within Troop C area on our vehicles, at least.
I got you. So I was thinking, obviously to stay off of I-10, the Highway 90 corridor would be a big area for people trying to get from New Orleans to Houston or whatever.
Yeah, and we have that too. Sometimes, whether it's drug trafficking, things such as that, they try to stay off the main roadways and they might come through our area. And so in addition to stolen vehicles, we also do get some large narcotic seizures too, every now and then, from people trying to avoid the main thoroughfares and coming through the Troop C area.
Right. So you started by Ohio State Highway Patrol in 1972. So this is something that goes on in other states too?
Correct. Almost every state police agency across the nation, they have some type of program that's similar to this. As you said, it started in Ohio. Not long after, we started in state police. So it's been going on for a lot of years now.
To find and to pull over cars and to do those things, that's almost proactive policing, right? Which used to be a mark of a good police force. It's kind of turned where people now the stigma of proactive policing are like, wait, is this harassment and that kind of stuff? Is that still a part of what y'all do now? Is proactive policing? Because it seems like it goes hand in hand with crime and dropping crime.
Yeah.
But I don't know where y'all at with that right now.
No, yeah. Proactive policing does reduce crime because if you're going out there actively looking for it, it stops the one that's already being committed, but it's also a deterrent. But of course, like every other police agency, we are dealing with manpower or woman power issues as far as staffing with the department. So a little recruiting plug. If you are wanting to come join state police, yeah, we are definitely hiring, because the more troopers that you have on the roadway, the more opportunities that you have to be able to go and do proactive policing versus responding to, let's say, crashes, especially in the Houma Terrebonne area. I mean, it's such a high population area that a lot of our troopers, they just kind of go from crash to crash during their shift. So the more troopers that you have on a patrol, kind of ones can handle working the crashes and such, and then the other ones can kind of maybe do a little bit more proactive.
So the academy's looking, and so if you can get into the academy, and what does it take? Takes a degree, and
so either 60 hours of college, 3 years of prior law enforcement, or 3 years of military.
Good opportunity. It pays good too. Hey, we got another segment to go, so we'll take a break. We'll be right back with Ross Brennan of Troop C right after this.
West Park Self-Storage is a state-of-the-art storage facility with clean, convenient, and secure climate-controlled storage. Our professional storage counselors are here to assist you with all your storage needs. We now offer after-hour access, and you can access your unit 7 days a week. We also have parking for RVs, boats, and cars with 24-hour access. West Park Storage would like to thank you for 20 years of business.
Pelican Waste and Debris is your local company. We don't just work here, we live here and understand the unique challenges that face our region. Our commitment to our community and customers and love for Louisiana keeps us motivated. Pelican meets every residential and commercial service need, offering roll-off, front-load, and compactor services, ideal for hotels, restaurants, apartments, construction or industrial sites, and much more. We also make recycling simple and cost-efficient, offering single-stream recycling program options. We have set the highest standards for environmental protection, community engagement, and guaranteed client satisfaction. Visit pelicanwaste.net or call us at 985-873-9553 to save money with hassle-free service. Our team has over 100 years of experience, so we know how to make you happy. The sky is the limit, so fly with the Pelican.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We're visiting with Ross Brennan, Troop C, the Public Information Officer. We talked a little bit about ACE Awards and what it is kind of finding cars and arresting people for theft and all that kind of stuff. But maybe the best way to go about crime is to stop it before it happens, and or traffic accidents, right? Because mostly you're on the highways and that kind of stuff. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about that and something I didn't know was a big issue, but squatted trucks. Everybody loves to mod out their vehicles, right? Jack them up, different tires and different things. It's a culture in a lot of ways, but squatted trucks are different because it can cause a road hazard.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about that.
And I'm sure it's happened to you, it's happened to me. Maybe you're driving at night, you're going down maybe 311, something like that, and they got an oncoming vehicle and the headlights are just so bright that you can't see. And it ends up passing you and it was a lifted truck. And so there's this recent trend in vehicle modification. Some people call it the Carolina squat, but it's also called a squatted truck. Basically what happens is whoever's the owner of that vehicle, they lift the front of that vehicle to be higher than the back. The problem with that is now you're affecting the headlights. Instead of facing towards the roadway, now they're facing up into the eyes of the oncoming drivers. In addition to blinding them, let's say you're driving, again, you're blinded with the headlights, you might start to drift off the road, you don't even realize that, and you maybe strike a pedestrian or turn, right, a lot of stuff could potentially happen. But also it reduces that visibility for that driver of that truck. So instead of seeing out,
he's facing up.
Yeah, he's basically almost staring up towards the sky. So instead of seeing out over the hood, that hood now obstructs the view. They cannot see maybe pedestrians or bicyclists, other vehicles, right? So it can cause potential hazards. So back in August of 2022, we actually enacted a law in Louisiana that the front fender cannot be higher than 6 inches compared to that back fender. So nobody can alter a vehicle's suspension, frame, or chassis where the height of the front fender is 6 or more inches greater than the height of the rear fender, right? Causing that angle for that front to be pointed upward. Now, of course, when you're towing a vehicle or towing with a vehicle, that front's going to naturally dip higher because the weight of that load's pulling down the back. So it doesn't count for a vehicle that's towing something. This is just an unladen vehicle, not pulling a trailer.
But still 6 inches seems like a lot.
Yeah.
And, particularly even when you got a load, it ain't going to be that much. It shouldn't be. You can really mess up your truck. But that's interesting that it's still, you still have 6 inches of clearance that way. That's actually a lot, I think. Huh?
Yeah, so anything over 6 inches, that's whenever you start kind of breaking that law that we enacted back in August 22. But under 6 inches, right, you'll be okay.
Have you guys had to enforce this?
Have we? I don't know our particular numbers, but just driving along the roads, you're starting to see more and more vehicles. Again, it's kind of a growing trend in vehicle modification. Especially for whatever reason during the Gulf Coast, it seems to be popular.
Right. Well, we're cruising the coast, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have a lot of vehicles like that out there. And look, I'm a car guy. I had to lift the truck. I had to, I put the lift on kit on it. But at least in my case, my tires were a little wide, so I had to go out and buy fender flares for it to be legal. So you can modify a vehicle. We've got no problem with that. Make it your own, unique, but just do it legally, right?
Well, look, when you start messing with headlights, right, at nighttime when other people are driving, my wife has sensitive eyes too, and when they have sometimes those LED lights or there's a blue light that really messes with her eyes when she's trying to drive, it's just not fair to the other drivers, and it creates a road hazard, particularly if you've got lights shining up like that.
Yeah, and also another situation too, we see a lot of people who are driving with their brights on. Maybe they don't realize it, but that little blue high beam symbol on your dash, right, that means that your headlights are on. So same situation as the headlights are angled upward, you can blind oncoming drivers, makes it harder for them to see. Let's say, you know, there's some type of road hazard. If you can't see it, how can you react to it?
Right. Those lights, those LED lights in general can cause problems for people, but those are legal, right? I mean, LED lights or no?
The problem with the LED lights is whenever you buy them aftermarket, a lot of times they're not designed to be able to go in that headlight housing that they're being installed in. So that light, the way it's refracting and reflecting from that that LED, it ends up being a lot more brighter. That light beams a lot more all over the place in a sense, rather than concentrated up on the road. And so that's how it can blind other drivers
well,
too.
Anytime, and look, I've tried to install lights in my car, you know, poor guy, little kid, just, you know, in high school or whatever, the light goes out, you try and do it yourself. You don't always position it right. So all of a sudden you're going down, why is everybody flashing their lights at me? But it might be positioned wrong too. So I guess anytime you do any kind of modification, there should be some kind of legal way to figure it out, I would guess.
And you can check, look, YouTube is a good benefit. You can always go to there, see how to adjust your headlights. If you don't feel comfortable with that, see a mechanic or somewhere, you know, somebody maybe a little bit more qualified about adjusting your headlights. It's not hard to adjust your headlights. If you do put new bulbs in, you can raise them up and down. But even the problem with that, like going back to the squatted trucks, that's such an extreme level that even adjusting the headlights, it still wouldn't be enough. It'll still blind oncoming drivers.
What is the, you know, I guess everything, they talk about street legal, right? Where things have to be street legal. How does somebody who does cars and goes to those shows, how do they know they're doing the right thing? They know that their things are legal, street legal.
Well, you can have certain modifications that aren't legal if it doesn't go on the roadway. So a lot of these show trucks and vehicles that are put in those types of events, they're not necessarily driven on the roadway. So if it's on private property, you can have whatever you want done to it, right? But whenever it's actually on the public roadways, that's whenever you can cause a problem for yourself and possibly getting a citation. Real quick before we finish, a lot of trend too is those underglow lights on these vehicles. Technically, it looks great in the parking lot, but that's really the only place that you can have it, right? If you're going to drive on the roadways, you can't have that underglow on those vehicles.
Now, is that a hazard too?
It could potentially be a hazard, right? So maybe sometimes they may have a red or a blue light, and as you're driving along, you just look in your rearview mirror, see a red or a blue light coming behind you. You might think it's fire or EMS or a police officer, and
I got you.
Stuff like that.
I like it. I think that looks cool. But I guess you're
private parking lot is fine. But just on the roadway, you can't use it.
If you're at Hooters, you're fine.
Yeah,
the parking lot over there. All right, Ross, thanks so much. Appreciate it. We'll be right back with more Bite Time after this.
Structural heart disease refers to a defect in the heart's valves, walls, or chambers that keeps the heart from pumping blood properly. Valve or structural heart problems may be present at birth or develop over time. Your risk increases if you have high blood pressure, plaque buildup, history of heart attack, take certain medications, or have certain heart infections. The Structural Heart Program at CIS and Terrebonne General provides innovative solutions and devices with the latest technology to bring the best possible outcomes for patients. Learn more at cardio.com.
At Big Wheels Travel Center, the fun and excitement are just around the corner in Bayou Blue. Big Wheels is open 24 hours a day and features 24-hour security, clean restrooms, and a wide selection of beer, soft drinks, and chips for all your needs. While you're there, visit the casino for daily cash prizes and drink specials 7 days a week. You'll get the feeling as if you're in a lush Vegas-style casino. Big Wheels also has one of the largest subways in the area, so stop by Big Wheels Travel Center where everyone's a winner.
Terrebonne Parish School District is seeking individuals for the following maintenance positions: licensed plumber, electrician, carpenter, HVAC techs with chiller experience, HVAC techs with general experience. These positions have great work environment, excellent benefits, retirement, and insurance. Apply online at tpsd.org. Terrebonne Parish School District, a great place to work.
Don't give up. At Waits & Downer Law Firm, we want to make sure that you have all the facts when dealing with your insurance company. We have the legal experience and ability to make them pay. Get the help you need. At Waits & Downer, it's our goal to not only get you a full damage recovery, but to get the insurance company to reimburse your legal fees.
Led by a 7-member commission, the Terrebonne Port was created to assist our local industry in promoting economic development. We monitor government regulations that affect our local industry and work with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to secure maintenance dredging funds. Because the HNC is the main artery for the heartbeat of Terrebonne's economy, Terrebonne Port fights a constant battle for funding to maintain the federally authorized navigable depth. We are now leasing waterfront and non-waterfront property. Terrebonne Port Commission, serving our industry to keep Terrebonne thriving.
Here in South Louisiana, we know how important it is to protect our families.
When one of our neighbors is injured because of someone else's neglect, our team is compelled to use our experience, skills, and knowledge to seek justice and hold wrongdoers accountable. If you've been injured and want to know your rights, call St. Martin and Bourke today.
Selecting an insurance provider for your business is a big decision.
With over 26 years of experience, our offered team is your solution for quality and proven coverage.
The customer service you remember from years ago is what we pride our team on.
We know how important your company is to the community.
From small businesses to large businesses, Alford & Associates can manage your insurance. It's our job.
Alford & Associates, benefiting your employees and protecting your business.
Here at South Louisiana Bank, we support our neighbors, the organizers, the helpers, the leaders, the dreamers. We support those that move our community forward. Louisiana has grown from the dedication, commitment, and loyalty of the people who call this beautiful place home. We are proud to offer our services to the communities in South Louisiana. South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together.
Whether it's price, service, or selection, you gotta come to A.J. Doman Chevrolet. We are South Louisiana's newest business elite, medium duty, and commercial dealer. Can't find the car you're looking for? Let us order it for you.
And remember, no credit, bad credit, we can help.
A.J. Doman Chevrolet at the foot of the Morgan City Bridge.
Give us a call today or visit us online at ajdomanchevy.com. A.J. Doman Chevrolet, the dealership that works for you. Highway 182 in Berwick.
Stop me if you've heard this story. A person with their whole life ahead of them made some poor choices and got addicted to drugs. They never got the help they needed. But their story doesn't have to end there. Peer support specialists from South Central Louisiana Human Services Authority can help you turn the page to a more hopeful chapter. Peer support is provided by a person who has lived with mental health and substance abuse challenges. Everyone is the author of their own story. Contact us to start a new chapter.
Hey everybody, welcome back into Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. We're going to spend some time with the Attorney General of the state of Louisiana, who's also announced that he is running for governor. He is Mr. Jeff Landry. So, Jeff, thank you so much for being with us. A guy that's from below I-10, right? St. Martinville guy.
Yeah, this is kind of like home, though. You remember I represented the whole area in Congress back in 2010. You know, had plenty of airtime here, enjoyed visiting with the folks in Terrebonne and Lafourche Parish, and really enjoyed when I represented them in Congress as well. And so it's been an honor to serve as the Attorney General over the last 7 years.
Yeah, it has, and it's flown by. It's been a remarkable time. You've announced for governor, and we were talking a little bit before we started. Is our state purple? I mean, we bright red state in a lot of ways, but we've had a blue flag, as you say, in the state capitol at the governor's mansion for the last 7 years as well. So what made you decide that, hey, this is my time to run for governor?
Actually, it was interesting. It was really the people of the state. As we went around the state, I think there was a lot of frustration in the way that we were being represented as a state. When you look around the South, I call it the SEC. If you look in the SEC, all of the SEC states, except for Louisiana, have people moving in to them rather than out. Louisiana has had an outward migration for quite some time. It would cause me to no longer be in the U.S. House of Representatives because we lost a congressional seat back in 2010. And when you look at those states that have people moving into them, those SEC states, you see that they have been led by conservative-minded governors who understand business, who understand what it takes in order to attract people into your state. And so I said, look, I've spent 7 years, had a great time, really have been honored to be the Attorney General. It's one of the greatest jobs I think I've ever had. But it's high time that we get a government as good as the people of this state. And we intend to do that if the people elect us.
Yeah, that is. And that's been my biggest issue with our state, right? In 1970s, we were, as New Orleans was as big as Dallas and Atlanta. And now those are as big as our state, and New Orleans is smaller than it was at one time. So our kids, we get them to school, we do all that kind of things, and they have to go find jobs at other states. It's really been a bummer thing. How do you stop that?
Well, look, I'll give you a better statistic. In 1950, New Orleans, Houston, and Atlanta were all the same size.
Right.
And so, comparatively see exactly what you say, and you're spot on. I think it's a lack of leadership and a lack of prioritizing things here in this state. I think that people finally have had enough. They've looked around and they said, wait a minute, now we're out migrating our best. And that's just not working for people, because every person who leaves the state is some son or daughter that a mother or father not going to see, a grandchild, a niece, a nephew, a neighbor, and it's great people. And so, I've always said, why is it that you can find a taste of Louisiana on any menu anywhere around the country, but yet a good job and a decent education are hard to find in this state? And so I think people have collectively said enough is enough. And when we announced in October of last year, and we put out a great 6-minute video, you can find it at jefflandry.com. I encourage people to go out and see it, take a look at it on their on their computer, on their smartphone. Again, it's at jefflandry.com. What you'll find in that message is that I'm not running for governor. I tell people we're running for governor, because the only way to really fix this state is if people are bought in to the message that we're moving, that we can actually fix this state if collectively we come together and solve some very fundamental structural problems inside the state. And that's what we intend. That's a message we intend to move around the state.
Yeah, we got 2.5 minutes in this segment. I know you can do it. Give me some specifics. You got any ideas of like, this is what we need to do? Look, we got our population centers, New Orleans and Baton Rouge. Those cities are part of seems like the issue in a lot of different ways, because they don't seem like they're part of the state sometimes.
Well, they're a big issue. In fact, I'll give you this statistic as well. Right now, the state of Louisiana has 3 cities that are inside the top 10 most dangerous cities in the country. Now, let that sink in. We've got 3 cities in a state of 4.5 million people, as you very accurately pointed out, is not even as big as, say, the Dallas or Houston metropolitan area. We've got 3 cities that are in the top 10 most dangerous cities. Of course, the crown jewel, that being New Orleans. And so what we're going to put out, what we're going to talk about, is how we get back control of our streets and our neighborhoods and our playgrounds, not only in those dangerous cities, that being New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Shreveport, but in the state as a whole. And we are going to focus on crime. And we're going to say, look, we recognize that sometimes good people make a bad decision and they deserve a second chance. But when people repetitively break our laws, or when they do very, very bad things, they belong outside of society. They belong to be put away for a long, long time. And I think the people of this state have had enough. In fact, in the polling that we've seen, not only in our polling, but in independent polling out there, actually that came out just about a week ago, said that the #1 issue on people in this state's mind is crime. Because if we don't have safety and security, certainly education is important. That's the second part to that plan. And then thirdly is the economy and jobs. But if you don't create safety and security, then
nothing else matters.
That's right. Nothing else
you
matters.
You got to enforce laws that are there too, right? Sometimes they seem like they neglect those laws in certain judicial areas.
Right. And so, I know that we're running up on the break, but here's what we'll do. Mm-hmm. We come back and I'll walk you through what we intend to do for crime, education, and the economy, and how we get Louisiana back to its glorious days where we can actually be one of those SEC states in the South, right, where we have people moving in rather than moving out.
Yeah, look, we got all the advantages of the best port in the world. We got sunshine. We've got all kind of natural resources, and we hadn't taken advantage of them. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back with the Attorney General right after this.
Save during SpringFest at Parker Kia. Drive home a new 2023 Kia Sorento and pay just $319 a month. That's right, pay only $319 a month for a new Sorento at Parker Kia in Houma or shop online at parkerkia.com.
I am a professional firefighter. Because of the line of work I'm in, there's a much higher risk to develop cancer. You're looking for a place that is going to support you in the manner that you need. Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center is a place that you would want to come. I had to be positive to show everybody else that it was okay to be positive. They supported my mission to live a long, healthy, cancer-free life.
Domestic violence is daunting, and the psychological effects can do enduring damage. Obviously, all abuse needs to end. But how? The Terrebonne Parish District Attorney's Office is dedicated to ending domestic violence and helping those who have already experienced it. Our office supports many programs that educate and adjudicate abuse towards women. If you are a victim of abuse, call the Terrebonne Parish District Attorney's Office at 873-6500.
West Park Self-Storage is a state-of-the-art storage facility with clean, convenient, and secure climate-controlled storage. Our professional storage counselors are here to assist you with all your storage needs. We now offer after-hour access, and you can access your unit 7 days a week. We also have parking for RVs, boats, and cars with 24-hour access. West Park Storage would like to thank you for 20 years of business.
Hi, I'm Martin False, the owner of HTV, and I just wanted to thank my team because each and every day we come in not always looking for the negative stories. We look for the positive stories. We have so many positive people and events that shape our area. So when you're tired of all the bad things happening in the world, tune into HTV for a little positive attitude. Thanks for viewing, and thanks to a great staff.
Save during SpringFest at Parker Kia. Drive home a new 2023 Kia Sorento and pay just $319 a month. That's right, pay only $319 a month for a new Sorento at Parker Kia in Houma or shop online at parkerkia.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. We're speaking with Jeff Landry, the Attorney General of Louisiana, and also running for governor. As Republican, you got the nomination from that too, as the Republican Party endorsed you for them. Not the nomination yet, the endorsement for so
well, we didn't endorse candidates. I mean, it's almost like
right.
That's a part of our problem. You know, in the state, is unlike other states around us, they let the Republican candidates run against each other earlier in the spring, and then they face the Democrat candidate later on in the fall. And so there's like enough time for everyone to kind of lick their wounds and get everybody back together. We structurally have a problem here in Louisiana, and that's one of the reasons I think that we've had a Democrat governor twice now. The Democrats seem to get it right. They get behind one candidate, right early on. They get, boom, they done. And look, I think what the Republican Party did early on in the latter part of last year, it's important for people to understand that it wasn't me. These were people, 230 people were elected every 4 years to serve as representatives of the Republican Party, got together, and in the vast majority of them said, you know what, we've heard from our constituency, and we're getting behind one person, and we're getting behind Jeff Landry. And so we're starting to break some of those glass ceilings in how we elect our governor. That's what our hope is. And we've got a lot more glass ceilings that we have to break in order to make Louisiana a great state and bring us like I said earlier, a government as good as the people in the state.
Well, let's talk about that. Obviously, you know, we talked about having governors because of a lot of the way the primaries are run, but a lot of people don't think we've had great candidates. So how are you going to change that being a great candidate on left? I don't mean to say.
Well, because I am a great candidate,
on the
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
right. But that's and that's my point. You wanted to talk a little more specifically about things.
I think what we've done is we've gone out there and made our case. And here's what's important to remember. We got in this race in October of last year. That's how serious I am about having this state work with me and fixing it, right? I didn't guess. I didn't worry about what job I was going to have. I didn't second guess it. I didn't care who was in the race. Everyone else just kind of floundered around. I mean, we still got people trying to get in the race.
Right.
If you didn't know you were running for governor, you know, a year ago, right. How serious are you about being the governor? Right? There's a big difference. It's not that I don't want to be the governor.
Right.
Okay? I want to work with the people of this state as the governor to fix the problems that we have. Again, I tell people it's not me, it's about us. And so what we want to do, again, what we talked about earlier is crime. If we don't have public safety, if we don't have safety and security, that is an absolute important thing here in this state, because if we can't get it, we can't get to the educational component. If we can't get to the educational component, we can't get to the jobs. And so we're going to the crime part is actually the easier part of the three. We know that. We've been safe before. We can become safe again. As a police officer and a sheriff's deputy, and as the attorney general for 7 years, we know what we need to do to fix the crime, and we're going to do that if they give me an opportunity to serve. Then we've got an educational component. I mean, we have really done a poor job of explaining to young men and women, number one, at an early age, that guess what? There are great jobs out there here in Louisiana, and we're doing a bad job of preparing them for it. You know, right now in this state, 74% of fourth graders can't read, 80% of eighth graders can't do basic math, and yet you can bring people from industry here who own businesses, and they say, we can't find any labor. Well, you know, how many people are you going to hire if they can't read and they can't add or subtract? Right. And so we're failing in that component. And so we've got to be able to do some things to bring that back. We've seen things in other states. Next door, Tate Reeves has done an unbelievable job of saying, hey, listen, if you can't read when you leave the third grade, you're going back to the third grade. And if you can't read again after the second time, you're going back again and again.
Right.
You are
and
not
have more resources
advancing,
to help that child.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, really, in today's time, the fact that someone can't read is really, I mean, it's almost criminal.
Right.
And then we recognize, and again, we talk about as they move from kindergarten through fourth to elementary into our high schools, are we doing enough to show people that there are great trades out there that can support great living? Livelihoods. I mean, the other day I had to hire a plumber. I paid him more than I paid the lawyers.
Exactly.
That I got to deal
Plumbers,
with.
electricians, and trades are
great.
great.
Right. And when we do that, when we concentrate on the industries that built this state, that's another thing. You get governor candidates coming, whoa, we're going to bring all these people back. It's going to be great. We're going to go find some novel industry out there. Really? Are we ready for that? Oh, we're going to bring Silicon Valley here when we got 74% of fourth graders can't read. Like, how are we going to do that? Yeah. They're basically lying to the voters.
Right.
What I'm telling voters out there is, guess what? No. We're going to be great because we're going to go back to the basics. And we're going to concentrate on the businesses that built this state, the small businesses that have been here for decade after decade, okay, who have stuck it out. We're going to find out from them what it takes to expand those businesses. And guess what? When the businesses that have been here are thriving, everything else becomes organic. Okay, people are looking in saying, man, what is Louisiana doing now? Look, they're taking care of the people who have been there forever. Their businesses are thriving. I want to locate my business there. That's how you make Louisiana great.
It's a great bargain shopper for a business that wants to come down here, cheaper and those kind of things would be great. 45 seconds, and I don't mean to drop this on you, but on top of the ticket, up on the top, it's also a federal election going on. Any of that's going to fall back down into Louisiana from that perspective?
Well, I think the federal elections, which actually come the following year, it feels like it does because it's like the federal elections never end, right? But yes, it's a big
announced candidate,
right? Big presidential year. Look, I think it's here in Louisiana. Louisianans have spoken again and again in support of the president, of the former president, Donald Trump. He's the only announced candidate so far. We'll see how the field lays out. But, you know, Louisiana has voted for him 57% the first time, 58% this next time.
Right. All right. Well, Jeff, thank you so much, and best of luck to you. Appreciate you stopping by.
All right. Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back with more Bite Time after this.
BCG Services, local experts for concrete leveling and foundation repair, providing quality solutions for a variety of foundation issues. With years of experience applying Floor Shield products to both homes and businesses, you can trust our team to provide high-quality results. Call for a free consultation.
Here at South Louisiana Bank, we support our neighbors, the organizers, the helpers, the leaders, the dreamers. We support those that move our community forward. Louisiana has grown from the dedication, commitment, and loyalty of the people who call this beautiful place home. We are proud to offer our services to the communities in South Louisiana. South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together.
Structural heart disease refers to a defect in the heart's valves, walls, or chambers that keeps the heart from pumping blood properly. Valve or structural heart problems may be present at birth or develop over time. Your risk increases if you have high blood pressure, plaque buildup, history of heart attack, take certain medications, or have certain heart infections. The Structural Heart Program at CIS and Terrebonne General provides innovative solutions and devices with the latest technology to bring the best possible outcomes for patients. Learn more at cardio.com.
Hi, I'm Martin False, the owner of HTV, and I just wanted to thank my team because each and every day we come in not always looking for the negative stories. We look for the positive stories. We have so many positive people and events that shape our area. So when you're tired of all the bad things happening in the world, tune into HTV for a little positive attitude. Thanks for viewing, and thanks to a great staff.
New Honda inventory now at Barker Honda.
Well, they're here, and the lot's filling up fast.
And we have more coming in every day at Barker.
On your cars, HRVs, CRVs, and Civics.
We have Pilots, Passports, and Odysseys now in stock. So come on by to Barker Honda and take advantage of our amazing deals, and you'll see why.
It's better at Barker.
Hi, I'm Martin False, the owner of HTV, and I just wanted to thank my team because each and every day we come in not always looking for the negative stories. We look for the positive stories. We have so many positive people and events that shape our area. So when you're tired of all the bad things happening in the world, tune into HTV for a little positive attitude. Thanks for viewing, and thanks to a great staff.
Whether it's your home or your business, BioPure specializes in disinfection application, along with water, fire, mold damage cleanup. Call BioPure today to get your free consultation at 985-322-3003.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. We're joined with the Houma Police Department's Chief of Police, Mr. Travis Theriault is here. We're going to talk about a few things, but we're starting off with a troubling incident that happened in East Houma where they had a shooting today.
Right. Well, it was actually yesterday.
Yes.
So around 12 o'clock noon, we received the reports of some gunshots that were fired in the area of Raymond Street. So our units responded to the 100 block, and when they arrived, they located a 28-year-old victim suffering from a gunshot wound to the upper body, to his back. And Katy ambulance they responded, and they treated him and transported him via ambulance to a local medical facility. As of yesterday afternoon, our investigators learned that he was in stable condition. He's going to survive the injuries. And what the investigation revealed that as he was pulling up, the suspect pulled alongside of him and just started shooting at him before he could even put the car in park, pretty much. And took off running, and as a result, he was injured. And like we said, he's been treated. But the investigation also revealed that the suspect was driving a Nissan Rogue light in color, and fled in an unknown direction. So really, that's all we have to go on right now, and they're working the case the best they can to try and resolve it. But if we have anyone with information, if they can contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-743-7433, that would be greatly appreciated. Or if they want, they can call the police department and at 985-873-6371.
And when you have some at noon, when you have some, that seems a little different at broad daylight like that.
Yeah, it is abnormal to have them in the middle of the day like that, especially on a weekday. You know, sometimes you'll see them on a weekend when everybody's out and home, but you know, middle of the week like that, or Monday, noon, yeah, it's odd.
Yeah, so there crime cameras or any kind of traffic cameras where you can maybe see the car going through and get a license plate?
Well, we have things that we can do and review, but and our detectives are working all that, and hopefully it'll bring forward some type of information.
You don't know if it's their car.
Right, that's right.
That kind of stuff. So yeah, something to look forward to. So yeah, if you have any information, make sure to give HPD a call. It is spring break. So it's a different time for us this year. Kids are out of school. So a couple of different things. Obviously, you want to be safety. You want to worry about kids when you're driving around that might not be in school at this time. The other thing is car burglaries at night tend to go up, and maybe not the same kids are doing it, but maybe the little older kids are staying out a little later at night.
Well, the obvious thing, you know, the kids are staying out later at night. They're having a good time. We're not naive. We know that high school kids are, they tend to drink, and we don't condone it, but we definitely don't want anybody drinking and driving, during this holiday season. And if at all possible, just avoid it. Do not drink and drive. And if you're going out of town, let's make sure everything is secure. If you want to let a neighbor know, if there's somebody you can trust, family member know, let them know you're headed out of town. And just be on guard the best you can. And if you are traveling, and a lot of people travel with firearms and things like that, make sure they're secured wherever you're at. Always at all times, home, away, wherever. Make sure your firearms are secured and your vehicles are locked.
Right. Because that's a big part of it. A lot of times people leave their gun or whatever in their vehicle, and then they're not locked, or they go by and check the door, and then that's how the guns end up sometimes in the wrong hands.
Right. And look, a lot of times, it's unintentional, and you go over there, no, I lock my car every night. Well, obviously it probably wasn't locked that night, and it's just being responsible, because majority of the time, that's how the guns are getting on the street. It's through vehicle burglaries. I remember a few years back, it was astonishing the amount of firearms that were hitting the street just from car burglaries.
Right. Oh yeah, because look, anytime anybody goes to New Orleans, that was kind of end up being a joke in New Orleans. A lot of the rural areas have these big trucks, and they drive into a Saints game or a Pelicans game, and the first thing they look for is trucks, because they know it's usually a guy that might have a gun underneath the seat.
Yeah. Yeah, and
can't bring it into the dome,
You can't bring it into the dome, so it stays on the seat. So, a lot of times
are targets.
Yeah, you need to think ahead. You have to think ahead and think of what you're going to do with it. But on a lighter note, we had some beautiful weather on the weekend, and I was riding around and seeing a lot of people enjoying time with their family.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think it's all about. This time of year.
So the other thing we need to work
pretty much on a daily basis. That's what your first responders at somewhere in Terrebonne Parish are dealing with, whether it's medical, fire department, or police. Somebody's dealing with an overdose every day somewhere in our parish, and it doesn't matter what family you come from. There's a chance that somebody in your family could be hooked on this stuff, and just be mindful and try and help them. Get off of it, because this stuff's dangerous.
Oh, and eventually, you got to pull the wrong, the wrong thing and the wrong dose or whatever. And a lot of times now, just going for a Valium or those kind of drugs, Xanax, can be laced with those drugs. So somebody who's not used to that can get their hands on that accidentally too.
Absolutely, yeah. And we just want to try and help people the best we can. So if you think you have a family member that needs help, make some phone calls and see what you can do.
You guys always travel with Narcan? Is that part of what y'all do now?
As much as possible, yeah, at times. I mean, look, we've gotten so busy with it, we've ran out, and then we had to restock.
Right.
So,
all right, Travis, well, thanks so much for the update. We appreciate it, man.
thank you.
All right, we'll be right back with more Bite Time right after this.
I'm Chris St. Martin.
And I'm Chuck Bork.
Truth is, nobody wants to hire an attorney. If you're coming to us, it's probably one of the most difficult times in your life.
But it's also true that if you've been injured, you need someone to explain your rights.
Since 1967, St. Martin and Bork has been helping the people of South Louisiana understand their rights. If you've been injured and want to know more about your rights, call us for a free consultation today.
Welcome to the Cypress Stop, your new Phillips 66 on the corner of 311 and Savan Road. We have all your breakfast, lunch, and dinner needs with smoked ribs, smoked chicken, boudin, homemade pulled pork, and daily plate lunches. We have a very large selection of white wines, red wines, liquors, beer, tobacco, and vapes. Going fishing? We have your bait and tackle and the ice to keep your catch cool. Cypress Stop, home of the happy customer.
Whether it's price, service, or selection, you gotta come to AJ Doman Chevrolet. We are South Louisiana's newest business elite, medium duty, and commercial dealer. Can't find the car you're looking for? Let us order it for you.
And remember, no credit, bad credit, we can help.
AJ Doman Chevrolet at the foot of the Morgan City Bridge.
Give us a call today or visit us online at HTV10. AJ Doman Chevrolet, the dealership that works for you. Highway 182 in Berwick.
Terrebonne General Health System is the largest healthcare resource in Southeast Louisiana, offering a high-tech and high-touch style of healing. World-renowned services include cardiology, women's health, cancer care, and a healthy lifestyle center.
This is a true calling for all the physicians, nurses, and staff who make up our proud Terrebonne General family. We are here to provide health care for our community.
To discover more, please visit tghealthsystem.com.
Selecting an insurance provider for your business is a big decision.
With over 26 years of experience, our offered team is your solution for quality and proven coverage.
The customer service you remember from years ago is what we pride our team on.
We know how important your company is to the community.
From small businesses to large businesses, Alford & Associates can manage your insurance. It's our job.
Alford & Associates, benefiting your employees and protecting your business.
Hi, I'm Councilwoman Jessica Delmang, and today we're going to talk about school zone safety.
Drivers are required to yield to pedestrians in a crosswalk. Always stop when someone is in the road and wait for them to cross completely before proceeding. Follow the speed limit and always stop when school buses are picking up and dropping off.
Good evening and welcome to our show, Going Public. I'm Renee Fonseca, and joining us tonight from the Terrebonne Parish School District are Cheryl DeGrees, the Supervisor of Federal Programs, and Michelle Olson, the Pre-K Coordinator. Today's show, we will discuss the public pre-K program in the district. All information that we discuss is available on www.tpsd.org, and translation services are available by calling 985-879-6400. I want to thank you for joining us tonight on the show. I know that pre-K registration has begun in the district, and we are going to go over some of the frequently asked questions that parents may need answers to. One of the biggest things is when and where can a parent or a legal guardian apply for pre-K for the next school year?
Well, our applications have already gone out, so we encourage all families to apply now if they haven't already. Only a parent or a legal guardian can complete the application. The applications can be found at any elementary school in the district, as well as our office, which is West Park Annex, 7573 Park Avenue, or you can go to tpsd.org to download the link. That would be tpsd.org. Then you go to Department, Early Childhood and Pre-K, and you can get the link for that application. Once you have a completed application packet, that packet can be dropped off at any elementary school, preferably the one that your child would attend, or it could be dropped off at our office, again, West Park Avenue, 7573 Park Avenue. Only completed applications will be reviewed for acceptance, so please ensure that the packet is signed by a parent or guardian and all the required documentation is attached.
And speaking of documentation, what does a parent need to apply?
When applying for a spot in pre-K, parents would need to provide proof of domicile or address, proof of where they live, a child's birth certificate, and the child must be 4 years old before September 30th of the current school year. So that's this year, they have to be turning 4. A child's social security card, their current immunization or shot record, and then proof of income for all of the adults that are living in that child's house.
And what do we consider proof of domicile?
Proof of domicile or address. If you are a homeowner, you would need 2 of the following: a current gas bill or electric bill or water bill. You can turn in also your driver's license if it would have the current address on there. If you're renting, we need a copy of your rent or lease agreement along with one of those utility bills. And if you are living with someone, so let's say your utilities are not in your name, if this is the case, then you would need to go with that person to a local notary and testify to them that you are living with that person, and they will get an affidavit signed and include that with the utility bill in that person's name.
And I know you mentioned income as well. How can a parent provide the proof of income?
Proof of income, all of these are listed on the website and on the application packet, just in case anybody doesn't have a PIN currently right now. But proof of income would be 2 current consecutive check stubs for any adult that's living in that household. If you are participating, the child is participating in the food stamp or SNAP program, we can get a copy of those case details. And if the parent or the adults in the house are not full-time, if they receive cash payments, or if they are unemployed, we have certain forms on the website that the parent can download and have those filled out as proof of income. There is also a sheet or a form for someone who is not receiving income. We cannot accept just no income. There has to be someone in that house that is, providing for the family. So if there are questions about that, they can call our office and we can direct them on how to provide proof of income if it's not a typical situation.
And are parents allowed to request special permission?
Yes, parents are allowed to request special permission. However, we give priority to those families, those children who fall within the income guidelines. But special permission can be requested. It's not guaranteed, but they can request it.
And does Terrebonne Parish accept all of the requests into the classrooms?
Well, what happens is we have to follow the grant funding guidelines, which allows for a maximum of 20 students per class. So we encourage all those families to apply now, because when those classes get full, they're full. We can't go over 20 because of the grant. We review all the applications for income eligibility. Those families who do not fall within that income eligibility, like I said, we do encourage them to apply. However, placement is not guaranteed at a specific school site.
And what are the income guidelines?
The income guidelines, we get the income guidelines from the State Department to determine eligibility. They're updated and posted after February 1st of each year. Proof of income is required for all applications and should be provided for all adults, as Ms. Olson said earlier. Families who are not within the income guidelines are encouraged to apply.
And I know over the past few years, the pre-K program has been evolving. How has it evolved and changed over the years?
Well, several years ago, I think, when for the inception of the program, there were only like 12 classes across the entire district. Last year, we had about 50 classrooms. This coming school year, 23-24, we're going to have 55 across the district. So we're adding an additional 5 classrooms.
That early childhood push, for education is
Yes.
definitely a push. All
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
So what curriculum is used to build successful pre-K students?
We're actually, for the upcoming school year 2023-24, the pre-K classes are going to be adopting a new research-based State Department vetted curriculum. It's called the Frog Street curriculum. It is focused on all the areas of development that are important for 4-year-olds. The state superintendent of education, Mr. Cade Brumley, has set out some goals for the state. The number one goal is to have all of the children ready to learn in kindergarten ready, and we're definitely focused on that. That's our biggest goal in pre-K. So we're going to be putting that into place. All of our teachers have begun training on this curriculum. They will continue their training over the summer and then into the school year, and then we'll launch in August.
And have you had any feedback with the Frog Street program?
They are super excited. The teachers are super excited. We currently have this same curriculum in place in a lot of the child care centers that we work with in the district. Our coaches from our office are very versed in it as well. So our teachers are super excited to launch the same curriculum, so we have some continuity for students coming from childcare into public school pre-K.
And what are some of the benefits of early childhood education?
Well, as I mentioned, that number one goal for having students ready to learn in kindergarten, nowadays we have students that are, 2 parents working in a household. Kids are already being exposed to lots of things prior to being in formal school. Ready for K can mean a lot of things for a lot of different children, and we're ready for those things. Like, we are focused on the individual child coming in. What is ready for K for one may not be the same thing as ready for K for another.
And how do you use technology with the pre-K program?
Well, developmentally appropriate ways we use technology. In other words, we have some games and some tools that kids can utilize in the classroom, definitely with some time limits based on research for children. I think that kids get enough screen time as it is, but we do use some technology with them. We also have in our program currently a family engagement tool. It's called Ready Rosie, and it is based through technology, meaning that resources are sent out to families via text, and they can use these activities with their children. They can communicate with teachers, all focusing on not taking up too much family time, but that parents can initiate these activities at their convenience.
And how can a parent prepare their child for entering pre-K?
Preparing a child for entering pre-K would be being able to dress themselves, being able to go to the restroom and get back dressed, shoes, those kinds of things, listening to adults and being able to follow directions. We're going to work on getting along with our friends, of course, and sharing, and trying to think of more.
A lot of pre-K is a lot of socialization. Mm-hmm. So for those children that maybe are a single child in a family, it's real important for them to have that early socialization. And pre-K does a lot of that.
It kind of builds that foundation and that structure for those later grades.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yes.
I want to thank you for joining us today. That was definitely some good information. And once again, how can our viewers find the information? What's the phone number and what's the website?
Our website is www.tpsd.org. You're going to look for the early childhood programs. Our phone number at the office is 985-879-6400.
All right, well, thank you very much for the information. I would like to thank you, our viewers, for watching. Don't forget to join us every week on Going Public. Good night.
It's Ford Fest at Terrebonne Ford. Check out our great lineup of new Fords. Take $8,000 off a new F-150 Crew Cab. Plus, get 2.9% APR for 72 months. Or take $6,000 off a new Explorer. Plus, get 1.9% APR for 72 months. So come save during Ford Fest at Terrebonne Ford in Houma. Because Terrebonne Ford delivers.
Terrebonne Parish School District is now hiring bus drivers. A valid CDL is required. If you don't have a CDL, we will train you. You must be able to pass a medical health exam and a drug test. Salary range is $19,253 to $29,859. Benefits include free health insurance and retirement. Contact the TPSB Transportation Office at 985-876-7400.
Terrebonne General Health System is the largest healthcare resource in Southeast Louisiana, offering a high-tech and high-touch style of healing. World-renowned services include cardiology, women's health, cancer care, and a healthy lifestyle center.
This is a true calling for all the physicians, nurses, and staff who make up our proud Terrebonne General family. We are here to provide health care for our community.
To discover more, please visit tghealthsystem.com.
New Honda inventory now at Barker Honda.
Well, they're here, and the lot's filling up fast.
And we have more coming in every day at Barker. On your cars, HRVs, CRVs, and Civics. We have Pilots, Passports, and Odysseys now in stock. So come on by to Barker Honda and take advantage of our amazing deals, and you'll see why.
It's better at Barker.
Structural heart disease refers to a defect in the heart's valves, walls, or chambers that keeps the heart from pumping blood properly. Valve or structural heart problems may be present at birth or develop over time. Your risk increases if you have high blood pressure, plaque buildup, history of heart attack, take certain medications, or have certain heart infections. The Structural Heart Program at CIS and Terrebonne General provides innovative solutions and devices with the latest technology to bring the best possible outcomes for patients. Learn more at cardio.com.
Terrebonne Parish School District is seeking individuals for the following maintenance positions: licensed plumber, electrician, carpenter, HVAC techs with chiller experience, HVAC techs with general experience. These positions have great work environment, excellent benefits, retirement, and insurance. Apply online at tpsd.org. Terrebonne Parish School District, a great place to work.
Good evening and welcome to our show, Going Public. I'm Renee Fonseca, and joining us tonight are the TFAE 2023 Distinguished Scholars and Inspirational Educators, Ann Barrios, Micaiah Jackson, and Anna D. McGee. I want to congratulate all of you for this honor and thank you for joining us tonight. First up, we have Miss Ann Barrios, who is a physical science teacher and biology teacher at Terrebonne High School. Can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and how long have you been in education?
I am married for 30 years. I've been teaching for 30 years. I have 3 kids and grew up in Assumption Parish, graduated from Assumption High School, and went to LSU.
So, well, I know you kind of mentioned how long you've been in it. What led you into education?
Well, when I went to my first day of school as a kindergartner, I came home and my mom said, I came in saying, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a teacher. And every year I would come home and I would say, I want to be a teacher. And it didn't matter if I said I wanted to also be an astronaut, a singer, an actress. I always wanted to teach. It is something that I just always felt drawn to.
So you knew at an early age?
Yes.
And what has been the most rewarding part of being an educator?
the light bulbs and the connections that I get to make with students. And now being able to see some of my former students also become colleagues and teach with me.
So that definitely is rewarding. And I know you mentioned connecting to your students. How do you manage to connect to your students and engage them daily?
Well, I try to talk to them and I let them know things about me, and I try to create a safe space for them. Because sometimes they don't feel like they have a safe space at school or even at home. So by giving them that opportunity where they can feel like they can actually talk and not have a consequence for it, just being safe to be able to verbalize and get it out, a lot of times that helps them to understand that, yes, some people do care and they do want me to do well.
And what advice would you give to any new teachers coming into education?
Well, one of the things I would tell them is the students don't care what you know until they know that you care. So once you show them that you care, then they will actually do the things that you ask them to do. The second thing is to trust yourself and trust your instincts, because your instincts are usually spot on.
And I know that you mentioned before the show that you're going to be retiring. What are you looking most forward to once you retire?
Well, spent the last year being separated from my husband because he had gotten promoted. So I'm looking forward to actually spending time with him again and then going to explore the area that I'll be moving to with him.
Well, good luck to you, and congratulations once again for this honor.
Thank you.
Also joining us tonight is Miss Micaiah Jackson, who is a biology and psychology teacher from Ellender Memorial High School. Thank you, and congratulations to you also.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then how long have you been in education?
Yes, Micaiah Jackson. I'm a person that's very extroverted. If there's words to describe me, it would be extroverted, free-minded, innovative, and free-spirited. I've been teaching for 4 years at Ellender, and I love it. It's been so rewarding, just seeing the growth within myself as well as my students every year. It's probably one of the most rewarding parts of everything.
And what has been the best part of being an educator?
The best part about being an educator is making a difference every single day and kind of seeing that light bulb go off. My overall goal is to educate and inspire everyone on every level, no matter if it's science, psychology, real life, aspirations. I just want to make a difference, and I feel like I've done that throughout my 4 years here.
And obviously you were nominated as an inspirational teacher, so you've made that difference early on.
Yeah.
And how do you connect to your students every day?
I feel like building that rapport with the students from day one, allowing them to say, like Miss Barry, I said, to care. She was my teacher, and she cared from day one. And just looking at teachers as my colleagues now and, bringing that into my classroom, I learned through the experiences that I've been through, as well as being a student. Sometimes in those desks, you just want somebody who cares. You just want somebody who you can talk to. So I feel like being that role model and that mentor to my kids outside of their educator, it makes a huge difference. And I feel like they can come to me for anything. They know Ms. Jackson, she's a lady who can fix you, and that's what they say at school. She can fix you. Just go to her with any problem. So just being that voice of reason for them in the classroom as well as outside of the classroom.
And how do you keep that inspiration going?
Every day I feel like is a new day. Within my students, sometimes we have good days, sometimes we have bad days. But I'm the educator. I would never hold a bad day against you. And I feel like it's okay to go through bad days and these things because you grow from it. I feel like every day and every experience is a lesson. So I feel like taking real life adversities, putting them into the classroom, going through your own adversities and kind of reflecting and being introspective as a person, especially in my psychology classes, I'm able to teach them introspection on how to balance your feelings and your emotions and just be a person, to be a good person. I feel like as an educator, you have to care. Caring is first, and you have to have empathy for the students and be open-minded more than anything. So, I think that's one of the biggest things.
And if you had any advice to any incoming teachers, what advice would it be to them?
Number one, classroom management. Put your foot down. That's your classroom. Do it how you want, but also make sure you're creating a space for your students to learn as well as them to be comfortable within themselves and the people that's around them. I feel like a lot of teachers go into it thinking, okay, it's just, we're going to teach and do everything. Oh no, I had to learn the hard way. It's a whole different ball game once you get in the classroom. You have at least 30 students sometimes, 20, 15, it just depends. students, and you have to kind of make connections. I feel like making connections with every last one of your students will allow your days to just flow effortlessly, and you're just able to connect with them on all levels. And it's always going to be a sense of engagement within the students and yourself, no matter what.
I want to thank you and congratulate you also. I'm sure you'll be back. If this is only year 4, I'm sure you'll definitely inspire and make a difference in the other lives of children.
Thank you so much.
Also joining us tonight is Miss Anna D. McGee, who is a 2nd grade teacher at Grand Caillou Elementary. I want to thank you and congratulate you for coming on the show as well.
Thanks.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you entered the world of education?
I am married and I have 3 children, and I've been teaching for 15 years, 9 of them as a certified teacher. But I asked my mom actually the other day to figure out when I decided I wanted to be a teacher, and she said that I've never wanted to do anything else. I actually had my own classroom in my house. We also had an office, and we had a nurse's office, and my sister was my student, and the dogs and the dolls, everybody came to my school. I've always just wanted to be a teacher.
So early on you knew as well.
Oh, yeah.
And what has been the best thing about being an educator?
The relationships that I have with kids. That was a big part of why I was chosen, and it's something that I strive every day. Even on their worst days, they know when they leave, Miss McGee still loves them, and that I'm going to love them tomorrow, and I'm going to love them the next day, even when they're making bad choices, good choices. It doesn't matter, that I love them.
And I know you teach, a younger grade compared to the other 2 are high school. How do you connect with your students and engage them on a daily basis?
We give hugs. We have lots of fun. We play a lot of music. And I really just get to know them. Like, if they don't like certain things, I make sure if I'm giving out candy, if a student doesn't like that, I'll be like, oh, I know you don't like that one. I'm going to give you this one. And then they know that I care about them and that I'm listening when they're talking and they say, I don't like this.
Mm-hmm. So it's just those little things that you
notice. The little
notice.
bitty things.
And how do you inspire your students daily?
I try, like I said, I just try to let them know that I love them and it's okay to make mistakes, and mistakes are part of growing, and sometimes you have to make a lot of mistakes before you can get to the bigger goals. And I show them my mistakes too. When I make mistakes, I'm like, oh, you caught my mistake. Thank you for so much. So, and they acknowledge, and it makes them feel validated.
And do you have any advice for any new teachers coming into education?
Don't give up. Even when you think they can't, believe that they can.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and ask each of you a question and kind of just go through each of you with it. What do you think is one of the most important skill sets that a teacher must possess? And I know all of you mentioned caring and connecting and that kind of thing. What is the most important thing, Ms. Barrios? I'm going to go ahead and start back with you.
Skill set that they need to possess. I'm going to say listening, and not just saying, okay, yeah, but actually listening and really connecting with the kids in that manner. Because if you're listening to them, you can usually pick up, even in tone of voice, oh, it's a bad day. Oh, this is a great day. And it can lead you to asking them the right questions to get them to open up and to engage with whatever you're doing, with whatever's going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Micaiah, what do you think is the most important skill set?
I think the set that you need: communication, leadership, teamwork, emotional intelligence. That's something that a lot of people lack. I feel like that's major, to just kind of read the room, read your students, understand how they feel, validate their feelings, as well as leadership and just effort. I feel like a lot of teachers need to put in that effort to show the kids, why do you want to be here? I feel like my experience in my classroom, every day is a grand day because every day is a new day to learn something new. I feel like I want that light bulb to go off. And I feel like as a teacher, you just have to be a person to have all of those things to make it flow. And this worked for me, and I'm here. So thank you.
Miss Anna D., what do you think is the most important skill set?
Resilience and perseverance, because you're going to have terrible days and you're going to have great days, and you're going to have good years and you're going to have bad years, but you got to wake up and do it again every single day because you have kids depending on you.
And all of you have done it and will continue to do it. I want to thank you for being an educator and making a difference in the lives of children. Obviously, you guys were recognized by your students, and that is a big deal. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I would like to thank you, our viewers, for watching. Don't forget to join us every week on Going Public. Have a good night.
West Park Self-Storage is a state-of-the-art storage facility with clean, convenient, and secure climate-controlled storage. Our professional storage counselors are here to assist you with all your storage needs. We now offer after-hour access, and you can access your unit 7 days a week. We also have parking for RVs, boats, and cars with 24-hour access. West Park Storage would like to thank you for 20 years of business.
Selecting an insurance provider for your business is a big decision.
With over 26 years of experience, our offered team is your solution for quality and proven coverage.
The customer service you remember from years ago is what we pride our team on.
We know how important your company is to the community.
From small businesses to large businesses, Alford & Associates can manage your insurance. It's our job.
Alford & Associates, benefiting your employees and protecting your business.
Hi, I'm Martin False, the owner of HTV, and I just wanted to thank my team because each and every day we come in not always looking for the negative stories. We look for the positive stories. We have so many positive people and events that shape our area. So when you're tired of all the bad things happening in the world, tune into HTV for a little positive attitude. Thanks for viewing, and thanks to a great staff.
Heavy-duty pulling power to conquer the high road or the off-road. The GMC Sierra Heavy Duty, premium and capable. Step up to GMC with 3.9% APR for 5 years on 2023 Sierra Heavy Duty SLT models. We are professional grade GMC.
In South Louisiana, storms are a way of life. Every storm poses a different threat, whether from flooding or hurricane-force winds. At All South Consulting Engineers, we help protect our people from these disasters. Before a storm, we work with our leaders to prevent catastrophic damage. After the storm, we help get the resources needed for rebuilding. We have helped our cities, parishes, and school boards recover over $2 billion to rebuild our community. We'll be here for the next one.
At Big Wheels Travel Center, the fun and excitement are just around the corner in Bayou Blue. Big Wheels is open 24 hours a day and features 24-hour security, clean restrooms, and a wide selection of beer, soft drinks, and chips for all your needs. While you're there, visit the casino for daily cash prizes and drink specials 7 days a week. You'll get the feeling as if you are in a lush Vegas-style casino. Big Wheels also has one of the largest subways in the area. So stop by Big Wheels Travel Center where everyone's a...
Can't you just feel it? The conflict is becoming apparent in our culture. It reminds me of those words of John Paul II. We're now living in the final confrontation between the gospel and the anti-gospel, between the church and the anti-church, between Christ and the antichrist. And if we don't choose to know God's word, to believe God's word, and follow God's word, we're going to be a sitting duck for all kinds of confusion, all kinds of disorder. Those are really important choices that people have to make.
And these choices are difficult. Who am I going to marry? What kind of life am I going to live? How am I going to raise my kids? What am I going to do with my time, my talent, and my treasure? And I have to make a choice today. Jesus says to each one of us, I came that you might have life and have it to the full. The question is, do we want it?
Hey, welcome to another week of The Choices We Face. There are so many inspiring, fantastic people in the world, and each week we try to bring you somebody. And this week it's Dr. Michael Pakalik, who's a professor at Catholic University of America. He has quite an amazing background. Welcome, Dr. Michael.
I'm pleased to be here.
Yeah, good to have you here. Well, I was, first attracted to wanting to meet you by reading your articles on universalism and other things. And then I looked into your background, and what an amazing background you have. You know, a doctorate from Harvard in philosophy, lots of scholarly articles, teaching ethics at Catholic University of America. But I also found out that your life and your witness is as much a part of your mission as your publications. So I wonder if we could just start today, just kind of telling us a little about your own journey, your own spiritual journey.
Well, Ralph, you know about this because you are a philosophy student, and you know everyone is called to pursue wisdom. And I became interested in philosophy when I was a teenager. And I just picked up the Bible in my bedroom. My parents were particularly religious. And I was thumbed through the Bible and read in the Proverbs and the Psalms how wisdom is the most precious thing we can have. It's more precious than gold. Seek wisdom. And I was really taken with that. It seemed to me to be true. St. Thomas Aquinas says it should be obviously true to us, right? But I didn't know how to do that. So I went to my mom would take me to the public library, and somehow I learned that philosophy means love of wisdom. So I thought, well, then philosopher is what I need to become.
Well, that's really beautiful.
So I studied philosophy for that reason as an undergraduate. But, you know, you can kind of study philosophy as a career, or you can study it because it's real, and you really are seeking wisdom. And I think if you do the latter, you have to try to live a certain kind of life. Philosophy is not just an intellectual discipline. It's a way of life, as classical philosophers all believed. Right? And if you go in that direction, then, as you know, almost anything can happen. Our Lord can invite you to follow him, and lots of interesting paths one is led down.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the path. Like you, well, actually, I actually know your story. So what happened when you were an undergraduate at Harvard? Who did you meet?
At Harvard, I was an atheist in my freshman year. And I had an interesting experience between my freshman and my sophomore years where I was saved from drowning. And can I tell you that story?
Oh, yeah,
it's
sure.
really fascinating. So during the summer, I had a friend I knew to be an evangelical Christian, and I really liked him for that reason because he was very joyful, and I was not joyful. And he invited me out to go fishing, kind of natural activity for a Christian, right? So I went to this huge bay in southern Long Island where I grew up. And we started out on the island side, went across the bay. We didn't catch anything at all. So we arrived at the barrier island, which separates this bay from the ocean. At that point, it was maybe 100 yards wide. So we got out of the boat, ran across the barrier island, went right into the water with our shoes on, our sneakers on, our pants and everything. And there must have been some kind of storm or something in the days preceding, because there was tremendous riptide that drew us right out deep into the sea. I was 200-300 yards out to ocean.
Wow.
My friend was strong enough swimmer that he could get back, but I was there helplessly. I thought I was going to drown. I went down a few times, and I said, well, this is the third time. You know, in the movies, you die after the third time up, so this is it for me. I said, I really should pray. I'm at the point of death. And I thought, well, you know, I haven't prayed my whole life. It'd be fairly hypocritical to pray right now, so I didn't even pray. My friend, meanwhile, had gotten back to the shore. He's on his knees praying, dear God, don't let Michael die, because if he does, he's going to go to hell.
Whoa.
So all of a sudden, 3 men appear on the beach, walking from the west. And there's nothing to the west. The west is just an inlet to the ocean, no roads, nothing whatsoever. This friend's father had fished on that beach for 20 years. He never saw anyone walking on that beach. Just at that moment, 3 men appeared walking from the beach. My friend points me out. One of them dives into the water, comes out, and, gets to me. I feel a kind of jerk around my neck that I'm peacefully expecting to die. I'm kind of calm in the water. It's lapping over my mouth. I'm relaxed. I didn't want to be disturbed.
Yeah.
And
you're ready to peacefully go.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel this violent jerk under my chin. And it's this, the savior come to get me, with the arm under my chin, swimming directly against the riptide, bringing me to shore. And then he left me in 2 feet of water, which was really bizarre, and he stood over me. And I was so weak that I was going to drown in 2 feet of water. So I begged him to draw me up onto the dry land, which he, with this kind of attitude of contempt, did. And then he and his two friends walked away, and we never exchanged words or anything like that.
Wow.
And at that point, I felt...
Could that have been the Trinity in disguise?
Well, my friend believed they were angels, and who knows if they're angels, but it's just so bizarre. It's clearly strange.
Yeah.
That you can go on the map. There are no roads, there are no buildings, no structures for a half a mile to the inlet of the ocean. There's nothing over there. And we got there by boat. There was no road either to the east. We went to a completely desolate spot by boat.
Somebody didn't want you to go to hell.
Not at that point, yes, exactly, or ever. But it was so strange, and it is miraculous in the strict sense of the word, that I sobered up at that point. And I realized, even on the beach then, that if I had died, my life would have been meaningless. And I wasn't living life with a concern for discovering truth, if you will. This concern for wisdom from a few years earlier in my life came back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that led to a search for the truth. And with the woman I met, and we were married soon, conversion to Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
First evangelical Christianity in college, and then Catholicism in graduate school.
Yeah. Okay. Well, tell me about that woman that you met.
Well, she had her own life-changing experience. She was also living a kind of atheism in her freshman year. And at the end of her freshman year, she was reading about the Pilgrims and their first winter, and in Governor Bradford's journal. They had a terrible disease. She describes that she was reading about how those who were healed from the disease would get up and help the others who were still sick, and it was kind of a cycle of charity. Some of them died, a lot of them died, but insofar as they had health, they helped those who were sick. And she was very impressed by this self-giving cycle of charity. And she was a kind of spoiled freshman at Harvard, right? Propped up in bed with pillows reading this, and reflecting on her own life, which was atheistical, saying, these people really are living a good life, and I'm leading a meaningless life. I want to become like them. So we met the following semester at Harvard, and we're each searching for whatever that is, that meaning of life that makes life worth living.
Yeah.
And we are, by instinct, we were drawn to Christianity. Now, it's an interesting question, well, why Christianity? Why not Buddhism or Hinduism? And I think C.S. Lewis's answer to that question in Mere Christianity is basically correct. There are basic identifiers of Christianity which kind of, from the distance, mark it out to be the true religion, if any religion is true.
Like what would those be?
Well, the kind of combination of the sense of the holy and a strict ethical code, the incarnational character of it, but not fleshly. Also, just as the church fathers said, already the existence of the church, and by the church in the broadest sense, the civilization and culture which the church invigorated and led to. It's kind of standing testament, exactly what everybody wants to attack these days, right? But that whole culture is a testament to the truth of Christianity. The Sistine Chapel and the great architecture and the music.
Yeah, all those things.
All of that together, the great literature.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So you both became Christians and you got married.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. And then what happened?
Okay, so we got married because of Christianity, because we were married, so to speak, before we became Christians, and then we realized, well, right away, an instinctive insight into the ethical code of Christ. Christ clearly teaches that sex outside of marriage is not appropriate.
Yeah.
So we wanted to follow the Lord completely. There could be no sex outside of marriage. Therefore, you have to get married.
That's wonderful.
Also we had this kind of marriages for raising a family. We both had fairly happy childhoods, and we missed that. We realized a lot of our deep unhappiness at Harvard had been from not being part of a family any longer, in a certain sense, becoming alienated from family life by the life of a campus.
Yeah.
And we wanted to return to that. We wanted to make it our own.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be becoming married and founding a family, having children together.
Yeah.
So we became engaged in after our sophomore year, and then after our junior year, we got married.
Okay, yeah. So that was pretty challenging to do while you're both going to school, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was, but it settles a lot of questions. I mean, if people are mature enough, I would recommend it. I mean, it puts to rest a whole bunch of concerns and worries, and you're very stable. We both did quite well in our studies. I mean, I won a Marshall Scholarship, which was very competitive and prestigious. It's like the Rhodes Scholarship.
Right. Okay, now tell us about your children and what happened and your involvement in the pro-life movement, all those things.
Well, when we first became Christian, we weren't Catholic, and we weren't open to children, actually. Although we were and we weren't. Right? I mean, everybody was using contraception, right? So that was just something that you do right away. We had some conversations with a friend who later became a priest, and he was a research assistant for Father Hardin, Father John Hardin at St. John's University. And he would pass us books by Father John Hardin and talk to us about what he called the contraceptive mentality. And his description of this seemed correct to us. Right? There seemed to be a kind of selfishness that was bound up with it, and a lack of generalizability. Like if everybody lived that way, it wouldn't be good for society as a whole. So while we were still Protestants, we gave up on contraception. We thought that was also the will of the Lord, that we not use contraception. So
well, that's really something.
Became convinced of that. A lot, it's not uncommon in evangelical Protestantism. People see the truth of this.
Yeah.
And for Catholics, that should not be surprising. We do hold it as part of the natural law. Mm-hmm. So, there was, then we started having children. It's kind of interesting. You look at the family tree of my family, and social scientists who study this say that immigrants to the United States, when they first come in, they've come from another country, they basically have as many children as people were having in the old country. And then the next generation, they have 2 or 3 children, and the next generation has no children whatsoever. Right? And I was in that generation of the 2 or 3. My parents had 2 or 3 children, and my mother was one of 13 children.
Well,
her parents were from Poland. And if you look at the family tree, somebody once did a family tree of all those 13 kids. There are branches that, of course, come from the 13 kids, and then no branches. They all end. Like the whole Zalewski line, my mother's side of the family, ends.
Wow.
Right? And then you see this one branch, my mother and my father, and it's like, wow, this whole, what is that growth at the end of that branch, right? Because this woman I married, as you know, she was my late wife. We had 7 children together, and got married again. We've had some more children. And you can point to that and say that growth is attributable to the Catholic faith. Right? Without that branch too would have been fruitless.
And one of the most precious things is the creation of another soul that has the potential to live forever with God. I mean, there's nothing more precious than another person come into being, really. So
there are no mere mortals. But I think that these, as C.S. Lewis said, but these, I think that interpretation comes later. I think that when you're newly married and in love, you're thinking about your bond with the other person.
Right.
And in the intention of nature, I think that's correct. And that's kind of why we need the teaching about birth control. Because without it, we really would think of sex mainly as a binding, together.
Yeah. Now, I know your wife was your first wife was a remarkable person and very involved in pro-life, but she died at a very early age.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, she was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was 34 and lived with treatment for breast cancer for 7 years. Once it metastasizes, it's a fatal illness. She discovered metastasis 2 years after it was diagnosed, and then lived 5 years after that. With the treatments are as bad as the disease, right? And it turned her into a saint. I don't have any doubt about that. She began to live with heaven in mind, which is the way all Christians are supposed to live, actually. 7 years or 70 years, it is actually finite, and compared with the infinity of eternal life, it's a relatively small period of time. She taught me a lot of things about her heroic life, coming from her heroic Christian life, and her living in the moment, spiritual childhood we discussed, and what's really important in life. I'll give you an example that we had kids who were playing Little League baseball. And, we'd go to some of the games, wouldn't go to some of the games, right? After she was diagnosed with cancer, she went to every baseball game. Right? I'm not saying everybody has to do that. There are no rules that are absolute like that. But it does. It pointed to what was really important. I don't have long to live. I want to see my son's baseball games.
Right? She was also a leader in pro-life, wasn't she?
She was. She was president of the Massachusetts Citizens for Life, and a very effective debater. I mean, so much so that Planned Parenthood didn't want to debate her any longer. They got crushed every single time. They would not sponsor a debater for debates with her.
Well, that's not great. Now,
there's a famous story when she debated at Harvard Law School and won the debate handily. One of my friends went to the debate and went to a bar afterwards, and just heard somebody complaining about, wow, she was so smart. She really made us look bad.
yeah, it's good. So it must have been quite a experience for you to have your wife die so young with so many children to take care of.
Yes, we had 7 children altogether, and one of them died of crib death, just 7 weeks old.
So you had that sorrow too.
Yeah, that happened. That happened in 1989, and she died in 1998. So that was a very, very hard cross for her to bear, especially, I think the mom especially.
Yeah.
But in some ways it prepares you and, teaches you something about, I wrote a book about my late wife. Her name is Ruth. It's really a collection of her writings, her correspondence, and her talks, and so on. It's called The Appalling Strangeness of the Mercy of God.
Okay, we'll put that information on the screen so people can get it if they like.
Which Ignatius Press has published.
Okay.
Lots of people have liked it.
Yeah.
But she took that phrase from a Green novel, which she really loved it. She thought it was, at one point, she said it was my favorite phrase in all of literature, the appalling strangeness and the mercy of God. I mean, the loss of our son Thomas, who was born yesterday, his birthday was yesterday, and so we gave him the middle name of Matthew, Thomas Matthew, taught us a little bit about that, because we conceived a child, Sarah, within a year. Actually, Sarah was born within a year of Thomas's death. So we conceived of Sarah very soon after Thomas's death. And, when my wife was breastfeeding, like a lot of women, she would not be able to conceive children at all. So the fact that Thomas died made her such that she could conceive again. And we had another child, Sarah. And we can point to Sarah, who now is actually married and mom with 3 children, and say, Sarah is alive today and the mother of this beautiful family because Thomas died. Right? If Thomas had not died, she would not even exist. Now, we don't make decisions like that because we're not God, but God does make decisions like that. And they're very, very hard to grasp or to accept when they take place.
Yeah.
But, resurrection comes out of the cross.
Yeah.
The cross is still the cross.
Yeah.
And it's completely horrible and unbearable when you're suffering it and going through it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I know you got married again. Tell us a little bit about the journey to that. Because part of your mission, Michael, is not just the articles and books you've written, which we're going to talk about in the next program, but part of your mission is just the life you're living and letting people know about it. So let's continue.
Well, you and I think both believe that you're open to God and living in the Spirit, and the Spirit leads you where He will, and it's not within your control, and you're not supposed to be in ultimate control if you're a Christian.
Yeah.
That's not how you're supposed to conceive of your life.
Right.
So when Ruth died, I did not want to get married again. I am a very dedicated scholar, and it sounds perverse and strange, but I was really looking forward to devoting more time to scholarship.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
And if you really love scholarship, it's like you want to. There's a story in the Little Flowers of St. Francis of Brother Giles, and he was put in charge of cooking for 2 weeks. And he loved prayer. So what he did is he just threw together everything into a pot. And he made this big soup or stew. And he said, listen to everybody, I've made this stew, and it's a huge pot. And this will last us 2 weeks. We don't have to care about cooking at all for the next 2 weeks. We can just pray.
Yeah.
Right? And he was rebuked for that, right? But that was his instinct.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I have to say I had a similar instinct.
Okay.
Right. So Ruth was really a month from dying. I didn't know then, but it turns out in retrospect she was. And I was kind of thinking about, I should say something. She said she's probably going to die soon. Just we're both fairly intellectual people. I mean, we're not wearing our hearts on our sleeves all the time. And I said I should probably say something to her about how much I love her. And I said, you're so fantastic and so wonderful. You've been such a great wife and mother. I have no interest in marrying again. I just want to tell you that. And she kind of took a deep breath and she said, well, I really think you should get married again.
Wow.
And she had actually been praying for this intention, I found out later, with her weekly rosary group of moms. From the time she was diagnosed with cancer, it was, let's pray that Michael gets married again and finds a young wife to marry.
Wow. That's remarkable. Yeah.
Pretty extraordinary. So, I thought to myself, well, I really don't want to. I said, I loved, I referred to a time I was a resident scholar at Oxford. I love those times. I love studying 12 hours a day or more. That's what I want to do. And she's probably thinking to herself, he has 6 children he's responsible for, including 2 young girls. This is insane. Like, she would often think that of me. Like, you're saying something that's actually fairly insane. So she said, well, I think that for the sake of the 2 girls, you should get married. And they were, I don't know, young. Like, I don't know, 5 and 7 years old or something like that. I can't do the calculation right now. And I said, I didn't think so, and that didn't appeal to me whatsoever. And then she said something really curious. She said, I've often thought that Catherine Hardy would make a great wife for you. And now Catherine Hardy has moved into town. So Catherine Hardy was the eldest daughter of some friends of ours, and she was studying at University of Pennsylvania, and just gotten into graduate school at Harvard and come to study economics at Harvard. And I thought, well, this is really bizarre now, right? Because I had always been opposed to marriages where there's any kind of disparity in age between the couple.
Yeah.
And, here my dying wife is trying to match me up with, essentially an undergraduate. I mean, somebody's just left college. So, I don't know what I said, but I said, okay, fine. A few months later, when I had gone through mourning, I had to go to Harvard, or I wanted to go to Harvard, kind of to start a new life by attending a Greek reading group on the De Anima of Aristotle, which a good friend of mine was leading, who was a visiting professor at Harvard at the time. So I went into Harvard. I had the reason to go into Harvard once a week. Got in touch with Catherine Hardy, more of a sense of obligation of, my dying wife said this, so I've got to follow up on it, right?
Yeah.
And I was completely taken with her, and she was taken aback, I think, at first, but I think it's fair to say that, we fell in love with each other fairly quickly. We got engaged. This was in March. We got engaged in May and married in August.
Okay.
And that was over 20 years ago.
Wow. So it's working out.
Yeah, we had a great marriage.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have had a great marriage.
Yeah. And have you had children in this marriage?
Yeah, we've had 8 children.
Okay.
That's fantastic. It's the same kind of wild spirit of, St. Matthew, he has the parable of the pearl of great price.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, it was, I don't know, something about losing a wife that I could understand how precious.
Yeah.
Understand better.
Yeah.
Right. I think that men are really in danger of taking for granted their wives. I know that I did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like the pearl of great price. Of course, only the gospel is the pearl of great price. But if you don't approach marriage with that sense, like you're the pearl of great price, I would give up all of my wealth and so on to be with you. I think that's not quite the right spirit.
Yeah, that's great.
What we call romance and courtly love, as C.S. Lewis pointed out, is a kind of, I don't know, it's an extension. It's been correctly informed by Christianity. It's a spirit of life which Christianity has taught the human race.
Yeah. I know when we were talking last night, when you first got here, you mentioned that all your children are following the Lord or practicing Catholics.
Yeah, that's true, and thanks be to God. I mean, we do our best. And, I like to say that, for people out in the audience, the parable of the prodigal son is about our Lord. I mean, the Father stands for God, right? And yet one of the 2 sons goes off the rails.
Right.
That's 50%. So, we pray and we make sacrifices and we're grateful if our children are following the faith. At the same time, I want to say that in a well-structured household with a good education, it should be a natural thing to pass on the faith. It shouldn't be surprising. It should be the natural course.
Yeah, it's so hard today, though, isn't it? The culture
it's very
is so
hard.
Destroying structures and
very,
culture
very, very hard.
and all that kind of stuff, which we'll talk about in the next program.
Okay.
Yeah, Michael, I'm so glad to just know you as a person and the witness of your openness to life and your journey. You're passing through sorrow, deep sorrow, and just the wise things you've told us today. I'm looking forward to the next program. Peter Herbeck will be your host, and he'll be talking about some of the real issues of the day that you've engaged in that are really important for the salvation of souls. So thank you so much for being with us.
It's great to be on your show. Thank you.
Good. Hey, my friend Peter Herbeck's written a booklet called Fear God and Give Him Glory, and this is from the book of Revelations. An angel is proclaiming this to the world, and I believe an angel is proclaiming it to the world today. We need to fear God and give Him glory. You know, Michael was talking about wisdom, and Scripture says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, having a deep, profound respect for God. So until next week, this is Ralph Martin and Dr. Michael wishing you the very best, a life of wisdom, a life of fear of the Lord.
One of the most overlooked yet foundational spiritual gifts is the fear of the Lord. The Scriptures call this gift a fountain of life, a source of confidence, and the beginning of wisdom. Today our culture, politics, and even the church are in crisis. Everyone can see the deep division, the escalation of anger and violence, and whole nations seem to be in the grip of fear. We have come to fear the wrong things, the opinions of men, and losing our idols. The fear of God is not in the land, and God in His mercy is shaking the nations to wake us up so we hear His word. Do not fear what this people fear. Rather, fear God and give Him glory. In this booklet, I explain the fear of the Lord, why it is an antidote to the current crisis, and how you can awaken this gift in your life. To receive a free copy, visit our website or call the number on the screen.
For 37 million Americans, this is life. Living below the poverty line. Every day, a struggle. Just to hang on. What would you give up to keep your grip? Food? Medicine? Clothing? Tough choices that 1 in 8 Americans face every day. Many have jobs and children and families. But every day, life below the poverty line gets a little bit harder. Find out what you can do. Please, don't let one more fall. Go to povertyusa.org and get involved.
Tune in this week to our show One-on-One with Martin Falls, as Martin sits down with Kurt Shake Snyder to talk about his life journey and to share his most memorable moments. One-on-One airs Monday through Sunday. This is an episode you don't want to miss.
Hi, I'm Martin Falls, the owner of HTV, and I just wanted to thank my team because each and every day we come in not always looking for the negative stories. We look for the positive stories. We have so many positive people and events that shape our area. So when you're tired of all the bad things happening in the world, tune into HTV for a little positive attitude.